Hi everyone, welcome to our Kickstarter Live Meet the Team. We're Team Lilu. I'm Eliza. I'm Lilu's head of marketing. I'm here with our CEO Adriana and our CTO Sujay. We're just going to talk to you a little bit about our background and how the Lilu company got started, and then we'll talk to you about the Lilu massage bra and take any questions that you have. Just type them in on the screen over here, and I'll be keeping an eye on it. Welcome.
Awesome.
So if Adriana and Sujay, you want to start, one of you?
Yeah, sure. So I'll kick it off. Hopefully, maybe some of you already know the story behind Lilu, but for all of those who are new to the company, very quickly we started Lilu in 2016. Started from after hearing friends and colleagues share with me their experience in those first few months after becoming a mom, and especially in that transition for coming back to work and juggling breastfeeding and breast pumping. As somebody who had been in technology for my past 6-8 years of my career in technology, I just felt really surprised by how little technology had changed in the breast pumping space. So that sparked a curiosity, and I happened to meet Sujay, our CTO at UPenn, while I was doing a master's in product design, and we started talking about ways in which we could improve breast pumping. And Lilu is kind of the work of 3 years of research, development, lots of intensive user testing, talking to moms, pediatricians, lactation consultants, and the Lilu massage bra is our first product. So I'll let Sujay talk a little bit about his background before maybe we go into more details, the different phases of the company.
Thank you, Audrey. So my background is in engineering, and I come from India. I met Adriana, as she mentioned, in a robotics class at Penn, and when she told me about the research that she was doing in learning more about breastfeeding and the problems associated with breast pumping, that intrigued me as someone who didn't really know or understand breast pumping at all. Like, that intrigued me a lot, and so I went home, I did my research, and I was surprised to find that over 8-9 pages of the first Google searches about breast pumping are all about moms complaining about the problems associated with breast pumping and how they're trying their best to juggle between work and breastfeeding, and they're trying to make breastfeeding and breast pumping work for them. So it was really inspiring to start working on this as a project, and then 3 years later we have the Lilu bra come to life. So it's super, super exciting. The whole journey has been extremely exciting for me.
Awesome. Come, sit a little closer.
Yeah.
All right. So maybe we talk a little bit about the research we did in the first few days, and so we always encourage people to go onto Google and really type breast pumping and the results kind of will speak for themselves. But what we found, and kind of like the big pieces of why we decided to start Lilu was, the numbers, like Sujay said, can speak for themselves. Around 85% of new moms start to breastfeed in the US, so it's almost, pretty, for many moms, and this is not necessarily a good thing either, right? But for many moms, it doesn't feel like a choice to breastfeed. And so parents launch themselves into this big decision, and not necessarily expecting it to be difficult or challenging. If anything, one of the big misconceptions about breastfeeding is that it's going to be easy, and it's natural, and for thousands and thousands of years, like millions and millions of people have been doing it, right? So why would it be difficult? But lo and behold, right? I mean, hey, it's always been difficult. So I think that's again a misconception that maybe we should just talk differently about breastfeeding in general. But breast pumping, right, the context in which moms are breast pumping have radically changed. Like moms are returning to work within the first 2 weeks of of giving birth, and the reality is that many moms are breast pumping 3 to 4 times a day in the very different like work environment, right? Even for me, right, I learned like I could talk about what I had seen from experience. So like a mom that has to work in an office with a 9 to 5 job, but then we quickly learned, I mean, for teachers, right, there's very, very different schedules. You really only have like such little time breaks. For moms who are doctors or surgeons, right, we started to talk to moms that were breast pumping while doing surgery because the surgery would like get complicated and the hours would like keep extending. So again, all these different scenarios that we just never thought about. So I think we did spend a good 3 to 6 months just talking to moms and like at some point, and that was kind of like also really eye-opening. Moms would open up their time and schedules and even homes to have us sit with them and talk to them about like breastfeeding and breast pumping. And even for me, right, they would invite me to like, oh, like since we're talking about breast pumping, why don't we do this interview while like I breast pump? So I think that kind of again gradually just opened up my eyes about even if people were willing to like really like expose themselves in that way, just meant that there were so many things to improve with that breast pumping technology, right? I mean, I wouldn't imagine even like necessarily like opening somebody, like a stranger, like inviting a stranger to my house to be like, okay, come and see me while I'm breast pumping, right? So I think that just alone kind of speaks on itself about the magnitude of how difficult it can be. So I think those 3 to 6 months of research were what really cemented in my mind that this was something really important to be working on. And I think it's interesting, right, because we're working on a product for women's health, and I think it's always been for me fantastic to have Sujay as a co-founder and a key kind of person in the development of Lilu. So I do wonder, like how did you see those first 3 to 6 months as you were learning about breastfeeding?
So when you told me about the problems, like I said, like I did my research, but that was just research, right? For me, the biggest changing moment was that survey we sent out to moms. When we first started trying to understand what the problems are, we sent out a small survey to a small group of moms, but 5-10 moms, or less than 30 moms on a Facebook group. And overnight, we received like 500 responses from moms, like writing us paragraphs and paragraphs about their experience with breast pumping, right? And that to me was like a really big changing moment, like just to see how moms are so actively looking for solutions and they're trying to come out to people and make their contribution in making a difference, right? To me, that was one big moment. And then there were so many big moments. So in the first 2-3 months, like I personally did not really sit with moms when they were pumping, but when Adriana told me about the fact that they were willing to be interviewed when they were pumping, like every single mom, there wasn't one exception, like not one mom said no to that. And like to me, to understand and realize that it's such a huge problem, and we had such a huge support system in all the moms who were going through the process was just like, it was definitely super exciting, and also gave me the confidence that we need to do something to change that.
Cool. How did Lilu land on the massage piece? Like I remember you telling kind of the story about there's a place in the market for a product when you find people are doing hacks to get something to work. I thought that was like a really good story in you.
Right. So I think as I was thinking, I was doing this curriculum really about like product design, right? So a lot of conversations that we would have with professors and teachers was like, okay, like what makes a product like even worth building, and the way I would approach, right? I mean, again, like I was just getting to understand and know about like breastfeeding and breast pumping, but kind of like in my previous work and that I was in that mindset of like, I do find it fascinating how do you even choose to work in one particular product? So like that mentality of like, okay, if somebody in their daily routine has a problem, right? The most common thing, right? I mean, humans being so, right, we're like very smart. We'll find workarounds to problems, and I think that's, an interesting, like one example, right? And it's nothing to do with breastfeeding, but like, okay, like doing laundry, right? So it's just,
This is exciting.
Yes, exactly.
I have no idea what you're about to say.
Yeah,
I'm really excited.
So a lot of people, right? You'll pour the detergent into the measuring cup, and then you pour something, but then it gets really sticky, right? So a lot of detergents, and it's so hard to see, but they will say that they encourage you to throw that cup into the laundry machine. And it's like, oh, like, I mean, I didn't realize. So it's like, just like wondering, like, how did they decide to do that and like do that little fine print? Is because they observe like a lot of people are like, they end up like with that sticky, horrible sticky thing, and then like some people would just randomly throw it in. It's like, oh, like that should be part of the product. So in terms of products, and I was like, okay, that's a little hack that like I didn't necessarily ever think about. So how can a detergent company make it such that like, I mean, those little cups, maybe they should be instead of like your like drying sheets, right? They should always work as that. Then that's an awesome product. Yeah. So anyway, really like roundabout way of saying like, again, you observe people. It's a good example. You observe people, and then you see the hacks again that people do, because when you have a product, one of the biggest challenges that you're gonna face is having people adopt it into their daily routine, right? So when you're thinking about product design and like, you really have to understand the context in which people are gonna be using that product, because if it's gonna require a whole new acquired behavior, that's one of the most difficult things to do, right? From a design perspective. So when we started developing our product, one of the things that we really, really emphasized was like, okay, this product has to be as easy to use, because I mean, if you map out that like breast pumping routine, there's so many things happening, right? I mean, even just like in the morning, like packing up all the like breast pump equipment pieces. Like, I mean, there's already so many little pieces, and they had to be washed before. And typically, moms are like trying to sometimes like squeeze in one like breast pumping session right before leaving to work, or right as you're arriving to work. So again,
or in the car.
Yeah. So just thinking about that was like, okay, like we know that even if we make the like most efficient like breast massage and breast compression device, what if it's too bulky, or you absolutely like have to like plug into the wall at the same time, as you're already plugging in a breast pump. We're making it that much more difficult. Like we're adding difficulties to an already difficult breast pumping like routine. So we really thought about that, and in terms of why massage and breast compression, right? We were trying to solve, like, there's 100 things to try to solve in the breast pumping space, but one of the leading reasons why moms quit breast pumping earlier than they intend to is if you're not producing enough milk. So for us, it was that trade-off, right? It's like, if we're already asking moms to like add something to their, again, already very like tiring and tedious routine, it's like, it really has to provide the value. And the one thing that we knew we can make a big difference on and that we think, again, it's really important is, okay, like we know that one of the biggest problems is not being able to pump enough milk. And there's plenty of research that shows that breast massage can, help moms pump 50% more milk. We've seen moms pump like 2 or 3 times more milk with breast massage. So for us, like, okay, let us first solve this problem and make it easy and comfortable. And then we were like, then we know we're onto something, and then we know, that we know we can add value that way. So that was kind of why breast massage, why breast compression, and why this, in many ways, like a very isolated solution, right? We are doing breast massage because automating breast massage is kind of a big stepping stone into like making breast pumping overall more easy.
Yeah. So speaking of like breast massage and breast pumps, so the Lilu massage bra is not a pump. it works with the pump. What I guess I know the answer to this, but part of the reason why we landed on that too is there are all these pumps out there that are reimbursed by insurance, and it's much more difficult to reinvent the wheel. Whereas with the Lilu massage bra, it's something that, like you said, you can add to your routine that makes something that's reimbursed by insurance and already provided to you work even better. And it's an amazing design. So
thank you.
Do you guys want to bring the bra out and talk a little bit about the technology inside it? I think this is kind of a cool opportunity to see the makers describe the prototypes. How many before we unveil, how many prototypes do you think that you've created since your first conception of the idea?
In the last 3 years, at least 20 different iterations or more, if not
easily more. I think that we've numbered we think about the bra in three different components, the bra, which is the soft goods. You can bring it up. Okay, so it looks like a bra from the outside. That was one of the key things, right? Obviously, what's inside is really what makes it really different to anything that's out there in the market. So we're not creating a new category per se, because breast pumping bras exist. But what doesn't exist again is a breast pumping bra that is adding that whole level of technology and that technology layer, which ours does. So we think of it in three components: the soft goods, which is around the piece that we call the hardware, where it's all where the kind of the brain of the product and it's
the tech,
where the massage is,
and the massage cushions, which is what's providing that breast massage and breast compression on the breast. So I think that each of them independently went over 20 to 30 versions. Probably the massage cushions went through the most because that in many ways is what's it had to be really ergonomic, but also really light, and adapt to so many different bodies. But they really can't exist without each other. So there was always improve one piece, and then therefore the other piece would need to change, and then improve one piece, and then it's always it's not always improving, right? It's not at all linear or anything. You change something, and then you have to completely take 3 steps back on the other piece. So I'd say 30 to 50 for each component. So take that 120 variations of
and almost all of them came from user feedback, right? Every single change that we made to the bra was after testing with users and hearing from them, hearing from moms what they want to see or what was missing, and we were just why didn't we think of this? We should definitely add that. It shouldn't take that much longer, or so we thought, to add that a particular feature, right? It was just kept adding and adding and adding.
And I think that's something in terms of product design standpoint, at some point, right, we also became better about saying okay, yes, we know that this feature will be fantastic, or this would really make a big difference, but at some point, we've seen how much of a difference our product can make just from a breast massage and breast compression perspective. So kind of any additional features, we've just put in the pipeline for the next generation of the product. So, to that point, right, we probably tested with, we were, last I checked, over 130 moms, but I know that's increased.
That's increased, 138, I think, right now.
Yeah, but at the beginning, the first 10 to 20 moms that pumped with Lilu, got to see, it was a machine, half of the machine we would hide under cardboard box because it was so big.
Really?
And it was and then the other part, it was this bra that we had Frankenstein and part of the Frankenstein bra and some of
it. What about the Iron Man bra? There was one that looked like Iron Man.
The Iron Man one was the 20th prototype, believe it or not. So we went through a lot of iterations
before we got to So now people sometimes tell me oh, it looks so pretty. I'm some people also are oh, it looks like a bra. Oh, thank you. That's
actually a big
part of me is no, but there's tech inside. but I was like, no, I'm glad that it looks like a bra because it was actually a lot of work to make it look that way.
Yeah. No, it's really, I've seen the photos. It's quite an improvement.
Yeah. And we work with some of like the awesome, like super awesome designers and engineers who like helped us build it to what it is right now. And yeah, so we're super eternally grateful to.
Shout out to all the helpers.
Shout out to all the
Yeah.
helpers.
Engineers and like Angie King.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So yeah, why don't you take out? So we talked about the compression cushions and talked about the technology. So do you want to like take it out of the bra? And,
yeah. Well, first I guess I'll show how it goes together and maybe like explain for those that. I mean, either if you know how the typical breast pumping setup looks or not. But I don't have a breast pump with me or a flash with me right now at the moment. But you know, like what you see here is you know, a pumping bra. Again, the category is not new, but the reason why the category exists is actually also pretty important, right? So moms are looking for solutions to pump hands-free. If you are, again, thinking about breast pumping 3 to 4 times a day, and of the typical breast pump equipment, you end up with a little machine, which is the breast pump, and then like the 2 bottles that are connected to that machine through air with tubes, and you end up holding those bottles for the entire session that you're breast pumping. Many moms that, you know, especially if you're struggling with low milk supply, end up like not only like holding up those bottles, but like maybe like they're actually pumping one breast at a time because hand is holding the bottle and then the other hand is doing breast massage and breast compression. Or, you know, again, talking about all these hacks that people do, like you end up like holding the bottles and then like doing the, you know, like kind of hugging the bottle from here and like doing breast massages here and there. So the key piece there is just it's a bra that is has this holds 4 bottles. You know, that's feature number 1. It's also very, very adjustable in terms of like both like from the waist and from the top, and that's important not only to that it can fit a wide range of sizes, but for a mom even during the day, just due to like breast milk production and how that varies throughout the day. Breast size can change quite significantly, so it was important. It was something that was like very comfortable and very adjustable, so that it would kind of really adapt to very many like different body types. From outside, from the back, I guess, right? We typically don't get to see the back very much in all our pictures and videos. It's a back clasp. This was something that we even had a post on Instagram where I was like, oh, like what type of like woman are you? Do you clasp on the back or do you so we really did think a lot about that. The key thing there is it's you want to just have it be done like in 1 or 2 movements, right? So it's like slip the bra on and like put the clasp in the back. Alternatively, some moms will like clasp it before and then like tighten, like put it on like the shirt and then like tighten the straps. So there's so many ways to put it on and off.
Yeah.
And yeah, so what's inside? So it's 2 little clips, kind of like semi-conceal what's inside. I'll actually turn it on before I take it out. It's a very simple control mechanism. So like 1 button to turn it on and off, and 2 buttons to control the massage strength.
So there's 2 levels of massage.
Yeah,
There's 2. Yeah.
There's 2 levels of massage.
Yeah.
The massage is pretty, I think something that's surprising for many people the first time you see it in action is that the massage is it's pretty rhythmic, but like it's like slow. Like, you know, like if I were counting like in seconds, you know, probably like, you know, when they tell you to take a deep breath and like count to 5 and then exhale, it's more or less like that. And what you can see inside is
I'll hold the controller and you can hold the cushions.
It's a different compartments or different pockets within the massage cushions, and they're inflating so that, you know, they can really work their way around the breast.
So they're inflating right now while it's...
Exactly. They're inflating and deflating, inflating and deflating. And so the effect is that when you have it on and you feel it, it's actually a pretty gentle compression that's again working its way around the breast.
But it's also designed efficiently where it has specific pressure points.
Exactly. So it's basically kind of contoured so that it's stimulating different parts in the breast.
Cool.
What else? Okay, it was also again another probably important point to highlight since it's out, right? So basically this means that these two pieces are fairly independent from each other. So this can just be thrown into washing machine. Super important, right? That it's I mean ideally should be washed a couple times a week, but I mean again we know that there's 100 types of things happening that you need to take care of as a mom. So it's been the materials are what's it called?
This is dry fit, so it's the same material that's used in making jerseys, sports jerseys and stuff. So it's to wick out the sweat and to
antimicrobial.
Yeah.
Same with all the parts that are here, which is important again, right? Because this piece you don't need to wash. It doesn't come in touch with the skin. It also doesn't come in touch with milk, but you can just really quickly wipe it with an antibacterial. Wet wipe in case it does come in touch with milk accidentally. And I guess another thing to maybe talk about the bra that we really love is it has some nice color accents.
One of our moms said it was surprisingly pretty, that she never thought something that could help her get more milk would be so pretty.
Yeah.
We get that a lot. We got that a lot from our beta testers, and it was we were so happy to hear those things. I mean, functionally we want it to work, obviously, but then to hear that the design is likable to moms, it's just
because that's important too, right? I think the breast pump and related accessories are they serve a very specific purpose, and they're they shouldn't be thought of as a gadget because they're not. They have a very specific purpose, but as a mom and as a woman, right? I mean, if it's something that you're interacting with so many times a day, and especially if it's something that you actually put on and wear, there's no reason why it also shouldn't look nice. So I think
for the mental trigger or something you don't want to be putting on a robot suit, an Iron Man suit.
We went through a lot of iterations of just choosing the right color for the bra. In fact, we went with a super dull color, and we were just no, moms were gonna be spending 2 hours, 3 hours of their day just wearing this, and it's we want them to feel good, right? We don't want them to just feel like they're tying a piece of cloth that's
So I mean,
a lot of thought went into this design.
Absolutely.
And then
the other design piece I think is important to know too, just for the functionality, is the straps. So being able to strap it onto your nursing bra.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So again, talking about the context in which you're typically breastfeeding, breast pumping, what we found is that many moms are wearing a nursing bra the entire day. And even if you need to pump, because that way as soon as you come back from work, you can breastfeed. And what we found is that it'd be easier, again, to just strap it on, hook it onto those nursing clips, and it makes you're already setting up and carrying bottles on the breast pump jiggling, and it's just being able to do that makes a big difference. And that way, also if you really don't want to, you don't even have to use this extra straps. We do find that the straps provide an extra level of support, so we do recommend that. But in terms of putting it on, it makes a difference. And again, I think it's just these little, or they seem little, right? But I think that's what you get from again, out of 130 beta tests, you see okay, this is actually something that makes a difference. So it's added. So. I'm gonna turn this off.
So if anyone has any questions out there, we will be answering your questions if you post them in the Q&A tab on the Kickstarter Live. We do have a question here. So apart from this, do you plan to foray into other areas of healthcare, particularly for women?
That's a really great question.
It's like, oh, step one first, right? Yes,
it's a good
that's
question. It's a good question. Yeah, I think when we started this journey, we did start out as a company that was going to build breast pumping products to begin with, but then there's so much that can be that needs to change in terms of technology for women and new moms, to be specific. So that's what we're going to be building. Like Lilu is our mission statement is that we build technology to empower new moms. So we're only starting with a range of breast pumping and breastfeeding related products, but we are going to also be building or expanding into technology in other things that can help new moms, like tracking their milk. We discussed so many things. Like
If anything, it's been again for us a good exercise of like remaining focused in terms of like the first step. This is the first product in the market. We want to get the word out about the company, start building that relationship with consumers, and but we also always want to retain that like user research and kind of technology and science kind of driven product design. So definitely, as you just said, we've covered a lot of different potential areas where we could develop and work as a brand to continue to bring products to improve technology healthcare for women. But yeah, we love that question.
Thank you.
Another question that we get a lot that was posted in the chat is if we're going to be offering the Lilu massage bra outside of the US anytime soon. It is in the cards. We really want to. So hopefully we'll be able to expand like later, late 2019 or early 2020.
Yeah,
it's already March.
We're working towards that every day. So it's just a matter of going through the regulatory hurdles, and the answer is yes. Short answer is yes.
Yeah, so we'll announce it when we're ready. Hopefully late 2019.
Yeah.
As a global company, I think it's definitely in the works.
So talk about the Kickstarter a little bit, I guess, and like what the different reward categories are. So the Lilu massage bra is it's in production right now. So the Kickstarter is really just a way to kind of like spread the word and like create some buzz and like kickstart kind of pre-orders before we launch on our website. They'll be delivered in like 2 different phases. So I know the answer, but what want to talk about like the early ships and like how people can actually buy this and
So one of the things that we had to be mindful of before we launched the product was to make sure that we could deliver it so that our customers would still be able to use it when after purchasing it, right? So we launched our Kickstarter after we made sure that we can deliver the product, after we set up manufacturing in China. We set up our supply chain, like we know how we're going to ship it. We have all that figured out. So
there's a lot of like, Kickstarters out there that, make a promise and then they can't deliver on it.
Exactly.
And that was something that we didn't want to do.
Absolutely. So we had to make sure that we were at that point where we felt confident to put the product out there, and we are at that point. Happy about that.
Good job, CJ.
So our production line is ready. Our factory is manufacturing it right now. Shout out to the factory. And the first line of units should be ready in April. So we're gonna start shipping to our pre-order customers on Kickstarter directly in the month of May.
If there you select the early shipping spring special, you will receive the bra in May.
Yeah, and the reason, right? So for those, either if you're familiar with Kickstarter or not, so there's different reward categories. Again, we work really hard to have this product in development as soon as possible. Your contribution to the campaign definitely, it is even as far along as we're at the tooling stage. Definitely, we're an early company, so your contribution means like a lot in terms of like, I mean, the next step is like the operation, the fulfillment. So that's a lot of what your the pledges are going towards, and the expansion. We're starting with a relatively like pilot size production run. So we've worked with a factory to get really good pricing, right? And because we want to deliver a product that moms and parents can afford, and even that's something that we have to work really really hard to do. So like the idea is that you see like the spring rewards. It's right now it's like it's priced at $189, so that's $10 off from our retail price. That is, as Suji explained, like our earliest units are going to be ready in April, so we'll be like almost like expressing them to you by like
Pun
air,
intended.
but expressing them so that our earliest backers can get them right away. And then the second batch of units will start shipping in June. As we start setting up that more like long-term like supply chain of like doing our distribution with our 3PL partners here in the US. But yeah, so it's basically a two-phased approach to this Kickstarter rewards, and I think the other options of the rewards are so our early shipping units are early birds. So for if you know a parent or you are expecting and expect to have your baby around like June or later, definitely that's a great reward option. And after that, there's a few bundles, right? So we have like one for you, one for a friend. Like who else better than the mom to make a gift to another mom. And we do also have a special bundle for 5 units. We've worked a lot with different groups, like mommy groups, corporations, offices. It's a great opportunity to show your support about like breastfeeding and like breast milking to working moms. So we encourage those groups to look into that 5 bundle because it's great.
That's great. And if you're not pumping and you don't have any plans to anytime soon, you can still back our campaign for as little as $1, but you can also get a really cool special edition collapsible to-go cup when you pledge $29 or more. Good friends of ours in our office, a company called Stojo, had these specially made just for our Kickstarter campaign. And they're really cool cups. So you get one of those when you pledge $29 or more. Your contribution, your pre-order does really help us in this, journey to build technology to empower new moms. Okay, awesome. Well, there's no more questions from the audience, so thank you everyone for tuning in. We have plenty more Kickstarter live streams coming up with some lactation experts and doulas. So make sure you subscribe or follow our campaign and tune in for those as well. You can also find our updated website calendar of events at wearlilu.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and you'll see all of our upcoming events that you can either attend or tune into.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.